Okay, so let's talk about suppressing features using tables in Nitro-CELL. Just as a little bit of preface here, we've got one model in session that I'm currently showing right now, and the working directory has several other models within here, obviously. So let's say that for all the bracket parts that we have in session or in the working directory, we want to go in and suppress features by type. So in this case, I want to like suppress anything that is created as a cut. So to do that, we could actually very simply just come in and say feature suppress by type. And if we look at the requirements for this, it needs a table as an input that has item name and feature type. And you'll notice because of these little stars next to them, the values in there can be wildcarded. So I'm just going to create that from scratch. So we're going to create an item name, feed type. I'm just going to select this and do a control T and indicate that the table does have headers. And you'll notice here that it gives us a default table name in Excel. So I'm going to rename this to my table. And I'm also going to turn off the filter button because I just don't really need that right now. So for starters, let's put in bracket.prt and cut. And then let's go in and add bracket 2.prt, 3.prt, and we'll do the same thing for these two. So cut and cut. Spell that right. So now I've got a table of files that I want to process and the type of features that I want to suppress. And the important thing to note here is that we only have one of these models in session right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the open command to reference that table. So we'll say table my table, and that's going to open each of the models that are in here. Got to remember that tables are kind of iterative references in Nitro-CELL. So anything that's in here will be, this operation is being performed on every item that's in that table. Then we're going to go in and suppress type using that same table. And then just for being accurate here, we're going to regenerate each of the models because they have been changed by that. So here's a script that has literally 3 lines of code and is referencing the content of this table here. So when we run this, you'll notice that it did go in and in fact suppress those items and regenerate them. And if we go back into session here, we look at this bracket, it's the same thing. If we go into bracket, say 2, same thing. So that's a very quick and easy way to do things. Now let's erase memory, and I'm just going to open up the original bracket for a second here. Okay, so now we've got our geometry back. Now let's go and modify this to just say, well, let's do bracket star.prt instead. I'm just going to delete these rows of information. So this is going to do the same thing except with wildcards. So now it's looped through, it's done that operation on that model, and if we look in session, sure enough, we have our other models in here, and they also have been affected in the same way.